Here is my ranking of all the Metal Gear Solid video games from worst to best. Now, a couple of notes about this list. There are several people that are going to disagree with my list, and that is a-okay because this is my subjective opinion. So if you don't like it, then too bad. And personally, I have not played the first 2 Metal Gear games, so I will not be including those on this list. Anyways, on to the list.
Kept you waiting, huh?
In dead last, we have Metal Gear Survive. I really don't think I need to elaborate on this, so moving on. Next, we have Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. While this PSP spinoff had very interesting ideas, it was very overshadowed by Peace Walker, which we'll get into later on this list. Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes. For those unaware, they made a remake for Metal Gear Solid 1 for the GameCube, and while it was technically impressive, it was criticized for its over-the-top cutscene direction and making the gameplay a little too easy with the mechanics of Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. Yes, Konami made this its standalone game, so I'm going to make this a standalone part of the list. A paid, yet great appetizer for the Phantom Pain. It had beautiful mechanics and open-ended stealth, but it was extremely short. And you know what? This was nothing more than a glorified demo. Let's call it what it is. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Another PSP game in the franchise, this was hugely important. It introduced base building and co-op missions and laid the foundation for a lot of systems in Metal Gear Solid 5. The story is strong here, but it's less cinematic due to its handheld format. But some would argue that the different, almost comic book-inspired cinematics also added to its charm. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. This hack-and-slash spin-off was fast, stylish, and had memorable bosses and a soundtrack that went extremely hard. This story is wild, political, and yes, meme-worthy. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. While this was a technical showcase for the PS3, it was loved for its fan service and its emotional send-off for Snake. While the gameplay was loved, it was criticized for being overly cutscene heavy. Nearly 41% of the game was purely cinematics. Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. This is arguably the best stealth sandbox game ever made, but due to its incomplete story, due to Kojima's fallout with Konami, it left fans disappointed, myself included. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. This was revolutionary at the time of release. In terms of graphics, AI, and storytelling, this game blew the minds of everyone. Its themes of misinformation, digital control, and identity are relevant now more than ever. Metal Gear Solid. Cinematic storytelling, stealth gameplay, and iconic characters set the template for everything that came after. Not gonna lie, nostalgia and historical impact keep it untouchable in my opinion. And surprise, surprise, at the top of my list is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Was anyone surprised that this was gonna be the top of the list? The survival mechanics of this game, the Cold War drama, emotional storytelling, not to mention the greatest roster of bosses in the Metal Gear Solid franchise, this game remains legendary, and it's no wonder they chose to remake this game first in the franchise. If you have not played a Metal Gear Solid game at all, this is where you need to start. Anyways, what is your favorite Metal Gear Solid game? I would love to hear your thoughts down below.